Hi, I'm Chris Williams, and I'm in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Student Data Review and Rosters application, SDRR. In this application, we're going to be talking about the data review for access and alternate access. So let's begin. You'll notice that we do have a need for data review, and the reason we do have a need for data review is that this is our final opportunity to review and verify data before it's publicly released in the school report card. Now, during this time, in data review, you're going to be having a short and focused review of two things in SDRR. The first one is going to be on the access and alternate access for ELLs in this data review. And the second thing that will be open in SDRR during this time will be cohort data. So you'll be looking at that data as well. We do want to make sure that we keep this a short and focused effort for our district's staff so that the way they can concentrate on the reopening of the schools. Now let's talk about understanding this process. How did we get started with this process? The way we got started with this process was getting the rosters right. And back, if you'll notice that if you were working with the access and alternate access rosters back in January, when the testing window began, it opened, and it stayed open until the 1st of March. So you had an opportunity to be able to go in and make any demographic changes to your students. You were also able to go in and file any non-participations for any students before, if they were not able to test for some reason for access or alternate access. And you also were able to go in and look at, if you put in a change request, you were able to go in and look at your ticket listings and things like that during that roster phase. Now, we do want to know that, with this process, that you were to get those rosters right. And if for chance you missed that opportunity to mark something for one of your students, this is your time now and the last time to be able to do that, because our next thing that we're doing is the data review. And right now, what you're going to be doing when it opens is you're going to be making changes to student level data. You'll be able to identify your 100-day entity students, and then also request any non-participations that you need to do at this time, just like you did back at rosters, but then you'll be able to do those same things, except for this time you'll be able to identify those 100-day entity students. Normally our process goes where we have the rosters open, during the test window, and then we move to spring rosters and be able to have another look at those before we get to data review. But because of COVID-19, we were unable to do testing for spring, so the rosters were not open. So now you've got your data review to be able to clean up anything that you didn't get done during the roster phase. And then the last step of our process is getting into the accurate reporting. And how we're going to do that is through the school report card. So that way you'll see all of the information for your schools and districts will be showing up in the school report card in the fall. Now let's talk about some timelines for reporting. When is this going to open? And when is SDRR going to open for data review? Well, it's going to open August the 7th at 9 a.m. And that's this this week. When will it close? It'll close August the 21st at 12 o'clock noon for new tickets. And then, of course, our data side, once it closes at 12, they'll be trying to go through and see if there's any tickets still left in there, and we'll send you an email letting you know, hey, look, you know, those tickets need to be resolved. So be looking for that if you forget that 12 noon, because like I said, 12 noon will be the last time you'll be able to go in and do any new tickets and submit any new changes. And then you'll want to make sure all of your tickets that you have submitted are resolved in SDRR before it closes on the 21st. And then when that closes, what happens at the close of this data review, any students that are still remaining in SDRR without an approved non-participation, or we don't have a test score, you know, then the student will be assigned the lowest performance score for that student. So, you know, it is very important that you do make sure that you have filed any non-participations, made any changes, you know, to your 100-day students if needed, and make sure all of that is approved and there's none still out there before it closes on the 21st. Keep in mind these dates are tentative, and that we do want to make sure that during this process that you get everything correct, because then, like I said on the previous screen, we will be opening up for public data release in the school report card for that fall reporting. And we'll have more details about the public release closer to the time of the data being released in the school report card. So just want to give you a heads up about that. And let's move in to see what task you're going to be doing in SDRR. During this time, during your data review for access and alternate access, you're going to have two things that you're going to have to do. First thing is, step one is to identify your 100-day students and go in, make sure that you are confirming those, confirm your 100-day students who will contribute to your district or school English learner goals. You also want to make sure that you indicate the correct school or district for any non-100-day students that should be removed from your EL learner goals. And also for that step number one, resolve any non-participation issues of students without test results. And we do, that's why I said it's very important that you never leave any tickets still open before it closes. You want to resolve all those. And note that, you know, for your 100 days, it is determined based on the 14th day date from the end of the school year in the spring if K-Prep testing had occurred. So that's still in place as it was last year. Now, your step number two, what you're going to do, your priority number two for data review for SDRR for access and alternate access is to do the demographics, making sure all your demographic information is correct. You also want to make sure and confirm all of that information. The one demographic that you can't change is your tested school cannot be changed except if you want it requested. You have to request that through our office. Another thing is you want to look at your demographics is making sure any student who had accommodations for your students who had an IEP were marked as yes in SDRR. for your students. And, you know, the only way that you could have accommodations on access or alternate access is if you had an IEP. Not if you just had a program services plan. You did not get any accommodations for access, because we want to see how well the student is acquiring their English language proficiency. And then you also, for the demographics, always want to make sure that it reflects what they were on the 14-day date and not what they are currently at in Infinite Campus. So make sure that during this time, during data review, all demographics, are current. And if you make any changes to your demographics in SDRR during this time, during this data review time, that you also make sure those demographics are reflected the same as in SDRR as in Infinite Campus, because we want both those systems to match, especially when we're looking at demographics as well as any non-participations, etc. So make sure that you do make sure both systems reflect the same data. That's an important process. Now, let's talk about the data that's going to be available for you in SDRR. Now, roster information has been loaded and matched with the test vendor data. And what that means is that we have loaded all of the data in there from, back when you did rosters. We loaded that information in, and also we loaded in, to make sure that all your students that we got back test scores, for this spring, that those are matched as well. And for an example, one thing is if a response booklet was submitted for a student to DRC, which is our vendor, WIDA is our official vendor, but DRC is our sub vendor, and that's where you will be able to see all of your test scores. And back in April, we had those online for you to be able to see all of the students' test scores for access and alternate access online. And so when we looked at those and we got back a test score, but then that's what I was saying, when that roster phase was open in January through March, and you may have forgotten to add a student on there, we will make sure that that student was added to your roster. If by chance you forgot to put them on there and a book was submitted to DRC to be scored. And like I said, your rosters must match, the vendor information. So that's why we will add those students to your roster. And then, like I said, everything that you did back in January and March for the access and alternate access rosters will be reflected in this data review process. Now, what are you going to do? How am I going to get able to do this work in SDRR? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to have a login to be able to get into SDRR. You have to have a username and password. And if you do not have a username and password, where can you get that? Well, you would have to get that from your WAPOC, which is your district technology person. They'll be able to get you an account for and get you set up with SDRR. Our office does not give you access to SDRR. We don't assign username and passwords. That's through your WAPOC. So you want to make sure that if you are if you're a new DAC, that you have checked with your WAPOC. And if you are still continuing to be a DAC, you should already have an account because you had to get in there and do several things last year in SDRR with both rosters and data review. Now, once you put in your username and password and you've got the right URL to be able to get to SDRR, you'll get, once you log in, you're going to go to the next one, which is your welcome or home screen of SDRR. And every time when you log in, you're always going to see that big red I need help button. That red I need help button is going to be valuable to you. It's going to help you with anything that you want to know about SDRR and all of our assessments and how to do our 100, if you want some help with your 100-day students, how to figure out, where that student should go to, that is underneath that I need help. Also on this welcome and home screen, you're going to see the latest announcements. That's very important on the latest announcement that you always make sure to look at that, because it'll always tell you when SDRR is going to open and also what's going to be open at that time. And then it'll have some helpful tools for you during that time. And then also it'll have, it'll have a link if before it opens you want to practice with your districts on the sandbox version of SDRR. You can click in that announcements box and it'll be able to take you to the sandbox version. So that way you as a DAC or a BAC or whoever you have assigned to work in SDRR for this data review, that they'll have practice being able to get familiar with the screens and how to use the features of SDRR. And then another thing is it'll also have, if you need help with anything, you'll be able to click in there. Also, if you need help with determining, there's a 100-day tool and a 100-day quiz, just to test your knowledge about SDRR with the 100-day where your students should go. Another thing is it will also tell you what is going to be open and closed on that welcome and home screen. And you'll notice that on the screen, it does say cohort and data review. Those two things will be open during this time in SDRR. Also, when you look at data review, you'll be able to go straight to the student listings from this. You also be able to go to the ticket listings and then also the transfer listings. Your tickets will have all of the information that you've submitted, and anyone in your district who has submitted tickets will be underneath that ticket listing. It'll also talk about the transfer listing, and that's where districts can transfer students who are 100 days to you, or you can transfer, if they're not 100 days for you, you can transfer them to the correct district. And you'll be able to see that on that transfer listing. And then before SDRR closes, you also always want to make sure that you download the data review. All of this information, you want to make sure you download that so you have it for your records for the next step when you get to, before you get to fall reporting. You'll want to make sure that the changes that you made during data review are reflected. And then also you'll notice that cohort, and we'll have a separate presentation on cohort and a separate video presentation that you can go through for that. Just wanted to let you know that both of those would be open during this time during data review, and cohort will be open as well. What happens when I click, up at the top during data review? Well, it drops me down here to where I can see the SDRR task for this. And the reason why we have SDRR task is just kind of help anyone who wants to know what you should be doing during this time. And remember, this SDRR task, you can check it off if you want, or it's optional. You don't have to, check the boxes as you complete the task. But some people just like to do that and have just like a checklist to be able to assist them on what they're supposed to be doing during data review. And you'll notice that underneath Quicklinks, you're going to see your listings for access and also for alternate access. You'll also see your transfer listing and download to be able to download all of this information so that way you can save it for the next step of your review. Now, below that Quicklinks is tickets, and you'll notice that you do have all the tickets that it'll have the total tickets, it'll have all your new ones, etc. And we're going to talk about each one of those on the next some of the slides. So let's get into the details of this. Now, you'll see that on the screen now, you'll see the SDRR task. Those are the tasks that you're going to be doing in SDRR. They'll be blank check boxes until you mark one that you have completed. Remember, this is optional. It's not mandatory that you have to do this. But it just gives any new person, or if you don't work in SDRR a lot, it just gives you a checklist to be able to go through and go, oh, I have completed this, and know that I have checked everything that I was supposed to do in SDRR before it closes. Now, the Quicklinks. Quicklinks, like I said, that's going to be where you're going to be able to go in and see all of your student listings for access and alternate access. And you can see it you can see both of them if you click on the first one, and where it says data review student listing, that's all of them. You'll be able to see all of your access and alternate access, or you can click on just access to work with that one, or click on the next one which says alternate access and just work with those particular students. Transfer listing, you'll be able to see, like I said previously, of who is transferring 100-day students in and who you're transferring students out, that the other districts will be able to see that, the other DACs, when they log into SDRR and see their particular transfer listing. And you want to make sure that when you are changing your 100-day students, that you do get it to the appropriate district, and to the particular schools within that district. Because we always want to follow that golden rule of dactum, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So you want to make sure that you are doing the correct thing and putting those 100-day students back to where they should have gone, or where they tested, and who are those 100 days. And then, like I said, before rosters close, always download those and be able to have all of this information before data review closes for access and alternate access. And also your ticket listings, you want to make sure you download those. Your transfer listings, always have that, so that way it gives you to your next step for the quality control. And that way you can see all of the changes that you made during data review, you will be able to see during that quality control process. Tickets. When you look at tickets, there's going to be lots of things on here for tickets. You'll be able to see any new tickets that have been submitted. Now, let's talk about what a school level person is going to see. Now, if I'm a building assessment coordinator, or, you know, as I said, that's our school level users, they're only going to see their particular school and their data for their schools. If I'm a district level person, and that's our district assessment coordinators, they're going to be able to see all of their schools and all of the tickets and things that have been submitted for their all their schools in their district. So as a DAC, you'll be able to see every school in your district and what your building level people are submitting in SDRR. Any changes, you'll be able to see the new information. You also see that next one, which is updated, and that's more information. That means you always want to make sure you pay closely attention to that updated and that more information, because that means we're waiting for more information from you, because when you submit your 100-day or your non-participations, we will be looking closely at those and improving those. And so we may have some questions with the documentation that you uploaded in for your non-participations, or what you entered in for your 100-day students. So always make sure to look at those. Another important thing is you're denied. Denied means there was another reason what you should have done in SDRR besides what you submitted. And when we deny a ticket, we always tell you what your next steps are. Denied tickets will never go away. So even though you've got a denied ticket, you can open up a new ticket and make the changes that we've suggested for approval. And then you go down to the closed. That just means that, you know, those are your closed tickets. Nothing else has to be done. Your approved tickets, though, it'll show you all the ones that we have approved for your schools and districts. And then pending. Pending means that you're waiting on OAA, because you've either submitted some 100-day changes to your students, or you filed some non-participation reasons why. And then you'll see the last one will be total tickets. And that is the total amount of tickets that have been submitted as a DAC. You'll be able to see for your whole district. And as for the school, you'll be able to see that for those individual schools if you're a school level user in SDRR. Now, features of SDRR in this version 2 of SDRR, because we started a new version of SDRR last year. We did have a version 1 of SDRR, and it needed to be updated. So you'll notice that version 2 is on several screens. We are in version 2 of SDRR, and you'll be able to see a lot more of the changes. If you have been around for a while, you'll be able to see you'll be able to see those search and integrated searches and filters on the screens. You'll be able to see the ticket history for each student. And that is a thing, and we'll show you where that is when we get to the student listing. And then we'll talk about ticket history as well, because when we talk, I'll show you where that is, but with the ticket history link, when you see that on your student listings, that keeps the history back for this year all the way back for 3 years. So you'll be able to see any changes that you made in SDRR back to 2017-2018 school year. You'll also see 2018-2019 school year, and you'll also see this current, any changes you made 2019-2020 school year that you just completed. And so that is very important for people when they want to look at the history of their tickets and how far back they go. Also, another feature of SDRR is you're able to go in and edit accommodations. If there's a no even if there's a no in the column for IP or EL during this time. Also, there's hyperlinks to the student listings, and you'll notice that when we looked at the home or welcome page, you were able to see your student listings, your tickets, get to your ticket listings, get to your transfer listings and downloads quickly if you just clicked in that box up at the very top where it said data review. When you first entered after you entered your username and password and went to the welcome and home screen. Also, a feature that we have put into SDRR is being able to put in the medical and extraordinary circumstances and being able to upload that documentation into SDRR. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you have filled out the forms on the KD website on the forms page. And it's also on the KPREP's website page that you can be able to get to the forms page as well and be able to see where to get the medical and extraordinary circumstances that you may need to fill out and be able to upload into SDRR, because what you'll want to do is you'll scan that the document after you fill it out and upload that into SDRR. And we'll show you how to do that process. There will be a screenshot to help you with this particular task. So let's dig down into it. Let's get into what we're going to be able to see in all these changes that we were talking about on the feature page. When you get to your student listings for data review, you'll notice that you'll have up at the top, you'll have the SSID, the last name, first name, district, school, 100 days, your type of assessment, whether it's access or alternate access, or if you want to see both of those, you just click on all. You'll be able to see the participation status of your students. You'll be able to filter by lunch, IEP, EL status, and then you notice that, for this particular one, all of your students will be ELs for that particular filter. And then accommodations, and you'll be able to, if you want to filter by any of these, you'll be able to do that. But I do want to caution you that when you do apply a filter, that you always click on that clear filter. So that way it clears out anything that you have submitted to be able to filter by. And then another feature of that you will be able to do is export. And you'll be able to export your student listings to either Excel, a PDF, or a CSV file for you to be able to see all of your students at one time. And then let's talk about the demographics. So let's talk about what we're going to see on that student listing. That first column just tells you the test. It'll tell you whether you're looking at access, alternate access, etc. The next one, it'll tell you the name of the student, what grade level they're in, the SSID number, date of birth of the student, gender, race, and ethnicity. You'll see your 100-day students, and you'll notice that if you submit any changes to your 100-day students, You'll see in that column in the very last, it'll say in progress if you make any changes to that. And then once it is approved, it'll put what particular school and what district that student, if the changes, when they get approved, it'll tell what particular district and school that the student goes to. And then you'll see the testing school. You'll see the non-participations. You'll be able to see that it'll be a dash there. You'll be able to double click on that, and then it'll give you a list of the non-participations for your students. And then you'll also get into, and another thing with non-participations is when you submit those, it'll also say in progress until it is approved by one of our data people in our office of assessment accountability. Then you also see the lunch status on the student, the IEP, the EL, and then you'll also see where it says accommodations for the students. And remember, if I'm an IEP student, you know, the only way I had accommodations on Access is if I had an IEP. Same is for alternate. And then you'll be able to see that ticket listing to be able to see that your history on your tickets in that last column. So let's see what that looks like a little bit, you know, closer up with our ticket listing. And also another thing is this is for our tickets. When you submit any tickets for the students, you'll be able to see that on the student listing. You'll be able to view your ticket in the left-hand column and be able to see everything that was done in SDRR that the person submitted for that ticket. You'll see the test type, the name, who requested that. You'll see your district in there as well. You'll be able to see what ticket type that they submitted, the date they submitted, and if they updated it any of that ticket, and then the ticket status. That's very important because you want to make sure all of that says approved when you submit a ticket status before it closes in SDRR. Also, you'll be able to see that column that says edit ticket. Any tickets, for example, if you go in and you go, oh my goodness, I forgot to do something on that ticket and I need to change that. You can go in and edit that ticket, and there will be that big button that says edit, and you'll be able to edit that information and hit submit, and then it'll go in. Now, what if I submitted a ticket and I was like, oh my goodness, I should not have, requested a ticket on the wrong student? Well, you can easily go in and close it. That's what that last column is for. There will be that red X to be able to close that ticket, and then that's done when you close that ticket. But just remember to be careful with that close to make sure you're closing out the right ticket for that particular student. 100-day entity, you'll be able to see your 100-day students. If you want to make any changes to that, you'll be able to do that here. Also, it helps you, there is a link here to be able to help you if you need any assistance with your 100-day students and how to code them to the right place. And if you make any changes, you'd have to put in the district, the school, and you want to make sure that you enter in the reason why you're changing them from what it was previously when it opened in SDRR. You want to make sure you provide the specific details, And note that when we'll make a note of this, we'll also review this too, that for data review for access and alternate access, you know, those follow our 100-day, that would be our 100-day students. But cohort and dropout do not follow those same 100-day rules as our other assessments. And so when you're entering in your change request, you want to put in the specific amount of days that the student was enrolled with you, because if it's, you know, less than 100 days, we want you to be able to put that information into this box of the specific amount of days that the student was with you. We don't want a date range. We don't want to say they were with me, you know, like January the 5th through, you know, February the 4th. We don't want that particular part. We want the specifics of how many days were they with you in your district, and you'll be able to get that information out of Infinite Campus. Now, another thing is with the non-participations, you'll see here are the non-participations that once you click on that dash underneath the non-participations on your student listing, it'll give you a drop down, and this just lists all of the non-participations for access and alternate access. And keep in mind, depending on the assessment, the non-participations will change for that particular assessment. Uploading your non-participations in SDRR. Here's what I was talking to you previously on our trainings about the non-participations in SDRR and how you can submit those forms. And you would be able to go into the participation status and put that in, whether it's an extraordinary or a medical non-participation. And then you would be able to click on browse and choose the file in your computer to find that particular form that you had filled out. And then once you have chosen the correct file on your computer for that non-participation, then you would click on that upload the document to be able to upload that into SDRR for approval. Now, you'll notice there's a box at the bottom. Now, you know, there's a lot of information that, you know, we put on there for medical and extraordinary circumstances on those forms. But we do, you know, for medical, you know, you don't want that to be a handicapping condition. So if there's something going on with the student, this box you can put any additional information from the school perspective for this student, because, you know, a lot of times the medical field will you will submit that form for, you know, for medical to the doctor for them to be able to fill that information out for you. So that's why we also want to know, well, what's happening besides what's going on with that student. We want to know more additional information from just what is happening from the school's perspective. What is going on every day with that student that you would need a medical or an extraordinary, you know, circumstance for that student. And then what you want to do is you'll update that, and that will go in and it'll be ready for approval. Now, on the next screen, it's going to talk about the I need help button. And like I said, that big red I need help button is on every screen when you log into SDRR. And it'll be up in the top right corner on every screen. And you can click on that to get information about our assessments. You can also get information about our, you know, how to do the 100-day, also any frequently asked questions. You can also get lots of information underneath this I need help for each one of our tests, and also other information too about, that happens in assessment as well, that you'll want to get underneath this for your work in SDRR. This is a valuable tool for you, and I'm so glad that we had this in SDRR to assist districts with their work with this process. Also, we want to talk about some of the SDRR resources, because not only, we do have the recordings that we're doing for data review and cohort, but we also have, like I said, the help button to help you in SDRR. We also have the WAPOC, who would help you to get access to SDRR. We also have what we call the 100-day quiz or scenarios that you can take, and that's anonymous. So it can see, test your knowledge on how well you know the 100 days. And then also we have the 100-day tool too that will assist you with your specific questions you have around your 100-day students. Next, now for questions, who are you going to contact, for questions if you have anything about our SDRR during this, or, with data review and SDRR? Who am I going to call? Well, I'm going to I can call the Division of Assessment and Accountability Support. Our office would be more than glad to talk with you on any questions you have. Also, we have the DAC info email that you can submit your questions to as well. And then if you have any data issues or any questions specific about cohort with your students, you can also send it to the Katie assessment box, and that is our data folks in our Office of Assessment and Accountability, and they'd be more than glad to work with you as well on any questions you have about the data that is being presented in SDR as well. So if you, like I said, our office is great to work with our districts. We do know this is a trying time for us, a different time to be able, for our reopening of schools. And so we just want to make this an easy process for you and always be able to support you. And another way to be able to support you is by giving you a place where you can log into a Teams meeting and be able on August the 12th from 2 to 3 and be able to ask us any questions. It's a question and answer session for data review and cohort. And this is for the features and the functionality of SDRR. You'll be able to ask us any questions of well, I watched the video, but I may just need, if you can just walk me through how to do the non-participations, or, where do I get, how do I get information for, my 100-day students? How do I change the demographics and things like that on my student listings? How do I get to my ticket listings? Any type of feature that we have for SDRR, that's what that's for. Now, this question and answer session will not be for specific student information, because we don't want to share student level data for your district, because there could be lots of other schools and districts on this call. And so if you have a specific question about student information, you would want to call our office and we'd be more than glad to walk you through that. But if you have any questions or any support for the functionalities of SDRR, this is your time. You can ask any questions. And we set this for the next week after it opens. So that way it gives you a chance to ask those questions before it closes. And then, like I said, here is our contact information again. This is the our KDE DAC info information, as well as our number for our office. And we are always glad to work with you with any questions you have around our assessments and with any of our systems to support you. And like I said, if you have any questions about SDRR, you have the Q&A answers session on August the 12th. And also you'll have this video that is being recorded for you to be able to go back and watch. And it goes through what your process is for the data review process for access and alternate access in SDRR. So I do want to conclude and just to say thank you all for all you do for our English learners, and you all are great to work with. I have enjoyed working with you all over all of these years, and love continuing to work with you all with your English learners. And like I said, any questions you have around English learners or with SDRR, the function of that, you're more than welcome to contact our office, and we'll be glad to support you during this time. Anyway, I do want to wish you well in the reopening of your schools, and hope that that's a smooth transition for you and your staff as well as your students. And so I just want to say thank you all and have a great day.